After decades of wandering, the Israelite nation waited at the Jordan River, their legendary leader Moses now gone. Yahweh then spoke to Joshua, Moses' servant, commanding him to lead all the people across the Jordan River. Yahweh defined the vast land he promised, from wilderness to Euphrates and the Hittite lands to the Great Sea. He promised Joshua no man would stand against him, guaranteeing his constant presence as he was with Moses. Yahweh commanded Joshua to be strong, courageous, and strictly observe the law given by Moses for success. He also charged Joshua, "Do not be afraid or dismayed, for Yahweh your God is with you wherever you go." Joshua then commanded his officers to instruct the people to prepare food, for within 3 days they would cross the Jordan. He reminded the Reubenites, Gadites, and half-tribe of Manasseh of their promise to fight with the other tribes. These tribes pledged their complete loyalty and obedience, vowing to follow him just as they had followed Moses. Secretly, Joshua sent 2 spies from Shittim to scout the land of Jericho. They entered the house of a woman named Rahab. Soon, word reached the king of Jericho that Israelite men had entered the city that night to spy. The king immediately sent messengers to Rahab, demanding she bring out the men who had come into her house. Rahab quickly hid the 2 spies, then told the king's messengers that the men had left the city at dusk. She had hidden them under stalks of flax laid out to dry on her rooftop, concealing them from view. The king's men pursued the spies towards the Jordan River fords, and as they departed, the city gate was shut. Before the spies lay down for the night, Rahab went up to them on the roof. She revealed her knowledge of Yahweh's power, citing the Red Sea parting as they exited Egypt. She also spoke of their victories against the 2 Amorite kings, Sihon and Og, beyond the Jordan. Hearing these things, the hearts of Jericho's inhabitants melted, losing all spirit because of Yahweh. Rahab declared, "Yahweh, your God, He is God in heaven above and on earth beneath." She implored them to swear an oath by Yahweh to show kindness to her family, as she had shown kindness. The spies agreed to protect her and her family when they conquered the land, on condition she kept their mission secret. Rahab then let them down by a cord through her window, as her house was built directly into the city wall. She instructed them to hide in the mountains for 3 days, until their pursuers returned to the city. The spies instructed Rahab to tie a scarlet cord in her window and gather her household inside her home. Rahab agreed to their terms, immediately tied the scarlet cord in her window, and sent them on their way. The spies went to the mountains, hid for 3 days, and the pursuers sought them, but found nothing. After 3 days, the 2 men returned, crossed the Jordan River, and reported everything to Joshua. They confirmed that Yahweh had delivered the entire land into their hands, for its inhabitants were melting away in fear. Joshua and all the Israelites moved from Shittim to the Jordan River, where they camped, preparing to cross. After 3 days, officers instructed the people to follow the Ark of the Covenant, keeping a safe distance. Joshua commanded the people to sanctify themselves, for tomorrow Yahweh would perform wonders among them. He then ordered the priests to take up the Ark of the Covenant and lead the entire nation across the Jordan. Yahweh told Joshua he would magnify him that day, confirming his presence would be with Joshua as with Moses. Joshua gathered the Israelites, declaring the living God was among them and would drive out their enemies. He revealed that when the priests' feet touched the Jordan, its waters would be cut off. The waters, coming from above, would stand in one heap, allowing passage on dry ground. As the people advanced, the priests bearing the ark stepped into the Jordan, which overflowed its banks. Immediately, the waters from upstream piled up far away at Adam, while the downstream waters were completely cut off. The priests stood firm on dry ground in the Jordan's middle as all of Israel crossed over. After all the nation had crossed, Yahweh commanded Joshua to select 12 men, one from each tribe. He instructed them to take 12 stones from where the priests stood and carry them to their camp as a memorial. The Israelites obeyed, each man from his tribe picking up a stone and carrying it from the riverbed to their new camp. Joshua also set up 12 stones in the Jordan's middle, where the priests' feet had stood, a monument that remains there. The priests remained with the ark in the riverbed until all of Yahweh's commands were fulfilled. The people hurried across. Once everyone had safely crossed, the ark of Yahweh, carried by the priests, finally emerged from the Jordan. The armed men of Reuben, Gad, and half Manasseh led the advance, fulfilling their promise to Moses. About 40,000 armed men, ready for war, passed over to the plains bordering Jericho. On that day, Yahweh magnified Joshua in the sight of all Israel, making them respect him as they respected Moses. Yahweh then commanded Joshua to tell the priests carrying the ark to come up out of the Jordan. As soon as the priests' feet touched dry land again, the Jordan's waters rushed back, overflowing its banks as before. The people came out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month and encamped at Gilgal, east of Jericho. Joshua then set up the 12 stones taken from the Jordan at Gilgal, creating a lasting monument. This miracle, like the Red Sea parting, would show all peoples that Yahweh's hand is mighty, inspiring fear forever. When the Amorite and Canaanite kings heard of the Jordan's parting, their courage melted away, leaving them utterly demoralized. Yahweh commanded Joshua to circumcise the sons of Israel, those born in the wilderness. After the entire nation was circumcised, they remained in their camp at Gilgal until they had healed. Yahweh declared he had rolled away the reproach of Egypt from them, and so that place was named Gilgal. While encamped in Gilgal, the Israelites observed the Passover on the 14th day of the month. The next day, they ate unleavened cakes and parched grain from the land's fresh produce. With the land's produce now available, the miraculous manna that sustained them for 40 years ceased. Near Jericho, Joshua saw a man with a drawn sword and challenged him, asking if he was friend or foe. The man identified himself as the commander of Yahweh's army. Joshua fell to his face and asked for instruction. The commander ordered Joshua to remove his shoes, for the ground he stood upon was holy, and Joshua obeyed. Meanwhile, the city of Jericho remained tightly shut and fortified, with no one entering or leaving. Yahweh told Joshua he had delivered Jericho into his hand, along with its king and mighty warriors. He gave instructions: march around the city once for 6 days, with 7 priests bearing trumpets before the ark. On the 7th day, they would march 7 times. The priests would blow the trumpets, and all the people would shout. Then, the city wall would fall flat, allowing the people to storm the city directly. Joshua called the priests, instructing them to take up the ark and 7 ram's horn trumpets. The priests then commanded the people to advance and begin their march around the city, led by armed men before the ark. As Joshua finished speaking, the 7 priests began blowing their trumpets, followed by the Ark of the Covenant. Armed men marched in front of the priests and ark, with trumpets sounding continuously as they went. Joshua commanded the people to remain completely silent, no shouting or words, until he gave the order. They completed 1 march around Jericho, then returned to their camp for the night. Joshua rose early the next morning, and the priests again took up Yahweh's ark. The armed men, trumpeting priests, and rearguard continued their silent daily march around Jericho. For 6 days, they repeated this ritual, circling the city once each day before returning to their camp. On the 7th day, they rose at dawn and marched around the city 7 times, as commanded. On the seventh circuit, as priests blew trumpets, Joshua commanded, "Shout, for Yahweh has given you the city." Joshua declared the city and all within it devoted to Yahweh, except Rahab and her household for sheltering the spies. The people unleashed a great shout as the priests blasted their trumpets, and Jericho's immense wall collapsed instantly. The Israelites stormed the city, each man rushing straight ahead, and captured it completely. They utterly destroyed everything within, man, woman, young, old, and all animals, with the sword's edge. Joshua ordered the 2 spies to rescue Rahab and her entire household from her house, as they had sworn. The spies found Rahab and her family, bringing them safely out of the fallen city and settling them outside the Israelite camp. The Israelites burned Jericho with fire, preserving only its silver, gold, and vessels of bronze and iron for Yahweh's treasury. Rahab and her family were saved alive by Joshua and lived among Israel from that day forward. Joshua then pronounced a solemn curse. Anyone rebuilding Jericho would lay its foundation at the cost of his firstborn. And so, with Yahweh by his side, Joshua's name became renowned throughout the land, a testament to the mighty deeds achieved